Hi everyone, welcome to Canberra Diary. We're coming to the end of another sitting fortnight and it has been busy and exciting. A lot going on. The news has mainly been dominated by sports rot scandals with Senate estimate hearings where they are digging and getting to the bottom of emails and the involvement of the Prime Minister's office. We've had, of course, a lot of updates about the coronavirus and the strong measures the government is taking to make sure it doesn't spread in Australia. Please be informed but not alarmed. It is being well managed and well dealt with by our health authorities. We are getting reports of panic buying like toilet paper. I don't think we are at that stage, so please just stay informed and up to date with the latest health recommendations. The Parliamentary Friends of Climate Action organised a Clean Energy Summit here in Canberra, and it was fantastic. We had some great speakers that really give us hope. This fortnight was also very overshadowed by the horrific murders of Hannah Clark and her children. Many people spoke in Parliament on the issue of domestic violence and the need to do more. With my crossbench colleague, Rebecca Sharkey, we are calling on the government to put in place a summit or have some more discussions and increase our measures to address this scourge on society. I also spoke on the government's paid parental leave amendment legislation. This bill will amend the Paid Parental Leave Act 2010 to introduce measures to make paid parental leave more flexible. I welcome those changes and urge them to keep doing more to assist working parents and close the gap on pay inequities between men and women. And it's here I wish to shine a spotlight today. You see, Deputy Speaker, as the shameful sports rot scandal was emerging and the unfolding revelations of the misappropriated funds were being detailed, another saga was bubbling along with the Australian Sports Commission. In a series of media reports, revelations were made about the spending patterns of the Commission, and particularly spending for the Australian Institute of Sport. Many Commonwealth Games and Olympic Games sports are facing huge funding cuts, some of more than 60%. I spoke on my concerns of the increasing cuts to funding in sports, especially Olympic sports. If we don't fund those programs, we simply won't get the results we want at Olympic Games, and it means we won't have the heroes that our youth of today can look up to and aspire and set big goals and dreams for the future.
I call the member for Warringah.
An important issue that I spoke on in Parliament was the review of the Sydney Harbour Federation Trust. I know it is of great concern to many in the community and it's important to keep this high on the agenda. The Trust was established by former Prime Minister John Howard in 2001 to safeguard and restore various sites around the harbour. My electorate of Warringah is proud to be home of two of the Trust sites, Headland Park in Mossman and North Head Sanctuary in Manly. Situated at the gateway of Sydney Harbour, these iconic sites are places of remarkable Aboriginal, colonial and military heritage. In terms of legislation, we've had a number of smaller pieces of legislation, but also I seconded Adam Band's, Leader of the Greens, bill calling for a climate emergency. I second this bill, Mr Speaker, the Climate Emergency Declaration Bill 2020. There is no doubt we are in the midst of a climate emergency. For 6 months, Australia has been devastated by the worst bushfires in our nation's history. Communities have been wiped out, businesses irreparably impacted, cities blanketed by smog, forcing many indoors, our courageous volunteer services stretched to the limit, and our beautiful wildlife and landscape decimated. This fortnight, the crossbench also elected one of the matters of public importance for debate in the House. We debated the issue of rule of law, sovereignty and democracy, and of course the role integrity and accountability plays in that. Democracy, the rule of law, separation of powers, federalism, nationhood and rights. These principles protect what we as Australians hold most dear, and they ensure that the framework within which the Commonwealth Government operates is robust, fair and above lawful. I therefore find it galling that we as the crossbench are here today to highlight that our government, in fact, is in constant disregard of two of these principles. I've had 2 questions in question time, and I have focused my question to the Prime Minister on the costs of inaction. If we are heading towards a 3-degree warming world, what will the cost be to the economy and jobs?
Those opposite, Mr Speaker, do not have a 2030 view about emissions reductions that they can actually share with the Australian people. Not one, Mr Speaker.
The Prime Minister will resume his seat. The member for Warringah on a point of order.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Relevance? The question went to modelling of costs, not to alternate plans.
I'll call the Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I thank you, and I thank the member again for her question. Because the question, Mr Speaker, probably would be better put to the Labor Party, who do not have a 2030 target.
And very exciting for me, Rebecca Sharkey and I signed the formal notice of our intention to present the Climate Change Bill 2020. Much of my time has also been spent having a lot of meetings. I've met with a number of colleagues now from the crossbench in both the House of Reps and the Senate, including, because of course it's important that we all understand our positions and really have these discussions. I've met with One Nation, I've met with Bob Katter, I've met with a number of coalition MPs, so that we can actually build a consensus on where we need to go and gain support for the climate change bill. So that's it for this fortnight in Canberra. Back to Warringah now for a couple of weeks, and then when we come back to Canberra, it will be for very exciting 23rd of March presenting the climate change bill in Parliament. I hope many of you will make the trip and come down. I want to see a sea of turquoise in that gallery. We need to pull back the curtain on Canberra and hold everyone in this place accountable.